Hey everybody, how's it going? Hopefully you're all having a great day. I've been recently having several conversations with people surrounding budgeting and particularly how to start a budget when they haven't had one in the past. So I figured I would make a quick video outlining what I specifically told them and what I did for myself when I was first starting out. So let's get into it. So first thing is, all spending is going to happen in one of four categories, and it's important that we understand these categories because these are ultimately going to be forming the backbone of our budget as a whole. So the first thing is recurring spending that you need to do that is the same cost every time, right? So when you think about things like rent, saving money, car payments, insurance, if you have credit card debt, minimum payments to your credit card debt would fall under this category, etc. Right? The next category is recurring spending that you need to do, but the cost changes every time, right? So in instances of rent, very often it's the same rent every single month. You know what it's going to be, right? But for this category, we just don't know, right? Electricity bill varies month to month. Your utilities could vary month to month, right? Your groceries definitely vary unless you're buying the exact same food every single time and there's never a sale and it's never increased, whatever, right? Pet food actually counts in this category as well. Some people have fixed internet costs. Mine is actually the same, so mine would actually fall in the top category. But if your internet changes month to month, I'm not sure why, but it would fall there, right? The third category is recurring spending that you want to do. That is the same cost every time, right? So you notice the key differentiator between this and the first two categories is this idea of need versus want, right? So spending in this category broadly is taken up by memberships. So this is memberships to local gyms. This is memberships to like Crunchyroll or Netflix or Hulu or Spotify, right? These are quality of life boosters, but they are not inherently necessary for you to survive, but they are huge quality of life boosters. So we want to kind of keep these in play to maintain our day-to-day enjoyment, right? And the fourth and final category is recurring or one-time spending that you want to do that changes every time, right? Now, this is the most dangerous of the four categories. This category accounts for a majority of people's spending when they feel bad about how much they spend, right? So a lot of people, when they think about budgeting, try to rein in spending in this category, right? They try and grab every single receipt from every single place that they went out to and document it on an Excel sheet. And it's everything else, right? But it's incredibly tedious. Trying to monitor this final category is by far the hardest task I've ever had to do. And I, in college, took a managing personal finance course where this was the exercise. We had to take a receipt of everywhere we went and document it, right? And I hated it. I hated the exercise. It was very helpful to understand, but once I was done with the class, I thought there has to be a better way, right? So how is the better way is the big question. Well, you want to document and categorize your spending only in the first three categories. Now, if you'll recall, it's again the recurring spending that you need to do that costs the same each time. Now, please keep in mind, this includes any savings goals. The second category is recurring spending that you need to do that changes each time. And then the third and final category, as it pertains to this, is recurring spending that you want to do that is the same cost each time. Again, this is mostly our memberships. It maintains a huge amount of our quality of life. So beginning with the budget, what I would personally do if I were you is go into Google Sheets. You could use Excel, whatever works for you. But I would personally do it like this and maybe make variations as it pleases you or as it fits your preferences. But I would definitely start with this, right? So first things first, you'll see in column A, we have the cash outflow description. This is explaining what the cost is. Again, recurring costs that need to happen that are the same, that need to happen and change, and costs that you want to do that stay the same, right? So if we go through a couple of these examples, my subscription to Malwarebytes is an annual membership. It's the same cost every single time, and it cost me $25 to renew. So I would basically take that cost, divide that by 12, and I would find out how much I need to save per month so that when the payment comes up in February, I have enough money to pay for it, right? Let's take an example of something that changes. Unfortunately, all of these don't change, but on a separate tab of this financial Google Sheets, I have a joint expenses of my household, right? And on there we have stuff like utilities, right? And for these categories where the costs vary, what you want to do is you want to export all of the transactions of like the bills that you have paid for them over the past 12 months, and you get an average, right? So let's say the average is $80 for my electricity bill, right? You want to take this and round it up by like maybe $10 or $20, right? You wouldn't be too far off base to maybe put 90 instead if the average is 80, right? And that's how much you save each month. What will happen is you will start to build up a surplus in the, call it roughly 65% of the time where you're actually paying less than $90 or $100. Money is going to start to build up in this account that you pay bills out of, right? And then 30% of the time it's going to be more than 90, and then you'll be able to use whatever you've saved from prior months to pay for that, right? So that's the idea of any type of cost that is fluctuating, grab the average and go up about $10 or $20 depending on the cost, right? So that's how you would do that. So anyways, the cash outflow description describes what the cash outflow is. I like to include what account it's drawn from. I personally have 3 accounts. I have a Bank of America, I have a Chase. So my Bank of America is my debit card. My Chase is my credit card, and my Schwab account is my brokerage account, which I've made videos in the past about this, but if this is something that people want, I can explain what the differences are there. But it's important to know what accounts these come from because I need to know where to send money each paycheck. The frequency, very important, helps me understand what I need on a month-to-month basis versus an annual basis. It changes how my calculations work on my Excel sheet. If it's annual, I divide the cost by 12. If it's monthly, I'll divide the cost by 2 because I get paid twice a month. So I'll know how much I need to save per paycheck. The date of the transaction is also very important, in particular if you are living in a world where you pay for this month's bills this month, right? So you need to know what date this cost comes out or what date that cost comes out, right? If you don't know those, you run the risk of not having that money available in your account. Now we'll go over a tip later on in this video that kind of counters this, and it's how I personally do my finances. So if you're kind of looking at this and you're going, okay, that's great, I don't know how I spend, like I guess I could put rent, I guess I could put like these things, but you feel like you might be missing something, what I recommend is go to every single provider that you have, be that credit cards, banks, brokerage accounts, anywhere where you're seeing money leave your life. Go to that website and download an Excel file of your last year's worth of transactions, right? So rolling 12 months, we're far enough in the year right now where you could just go year to date and pull this document. Now, what I did was I actually went and pulled this document for myself, right? Just so I could show you how this looks. So you'll see this is an export of my Chase account, right? So first things first, I go through and I add a filter for all of the different columns. And what I like to do is I like to sort alphabetically by vendor, right? A lot of places will have different ways of setting this up, but the description, whatever, just alphabetically sort that. And what you want to do is you want to go through and just look. So I'm gonna do a complete run through of this real quick, just so you can see. So Amazon, I know that these are all one-time spendings, so these are going to fall within the 4th category, right? Again, this is for the entire year, so if it looks like I have a problem, I do. Okay, so here, I spent money at an arcade. That's a one-time thing. I only have done it twice in the past year. Not worried about it. This is our local train system. I pay for parking every single day. So this is relatively a recurring cost that I could document, right? Honestly, it works out to about $30 a month with how much I travel into the city. So for me, I kind of just figure this as a 4th category spending and I don't bother tracking it, right? It's too minute for me to even care. So I'm just gonna leave it as is. So disregard all that. Birkenstock, one-time purchase. Bath and Body Works, one-time purchase. These are all various purchases of video games. Not going to document that. This is random boba spending. Not going to document that. Banana Republic. Not going to document that. DMV fees. Not going to calculate that. Gas. I guess I could calculate this, but my gas spending has been so infrequent lately because I ride the train into the city. So I could add this to the second category of costs that I need to spend but change every time. What I would do is I would take the average here. So let's say this was every month, right? So equals average equals average, and do that. So average is $47. So I would take this to let's call it $60. So I allot myself $60 a month in gas, right? Again, most of the time it's going to be over. Sometimes it's going to be under, right? Or most of the time it's going to be more than I have to save, but sometimes it'll be less. But anyways, that's how I would do like a recurring cost, right? Chinese food, no. Chinese market, no. Chipotle, I guess I could, but nah, not really worried about it. Chipotle online, no. CVS Pharmacy, no. DoorDash, no. DoorDash, no. Okay, perfect. So this is the first one, right? This is my Crunchyroll membership. So I would actually document this. Like, this is actually helpful. So, and if you look back on my, get out of here. If you look back on my sheet that I had earlier, you'll notice that Crunchyroll was in fact on there. Headspace is something that I no longer subscribe to. Great service. Nothing wrong with it. Just don't use it. But this is an annual cost that I should document, right? This Google storage is an annual cost. I should document that, which I do. YouTube Premium, a monthly cost. Ooh, looks like it went up in cost. $2 a month. Interesting. But there you go, right? So this is another monthly cost that I should add to the third category, which is the memberships, right? The cost that I want to do, but that stay the same every time. Food Place, no. Food Place, no. RuneScape annual membership, I should add that, which I already have it. High Dive, another anime streaming service that is a monthly cost. I've already added that. iSushi, no. In-N-Out Burger, no. Japanese grocery store, no. Laundry card, I guess I could do laundry card, but again, the amount is so small relative to my overall financial budget that I just don't care. No. This is like a one-time spend. I bought a couch. McDonald's, no. This is all eating. This is all video game purchases. Pizza, there you go. Pete's, sure, that's coffee. Riot Games, no. Groceries, perfect. This is another one. This is the second category, things I need to do that change every time. So equals average. Oh, no, that's Riot Games. Boom, there you go. So let's just say this was spending however, like once a month, right? Get that. It's $45 every time I go to Safeway. So I would probably put 55 or 60 again for groceries, right? But I personally don't do groceries on my list. I used to have it, but it's something that I have subsequently taken off because I have enough, like after all of my savings goals and everything like that, to where I just lump all food together, whether that be dining out or getting groceries. Some people aren't in that situation. They have to like buckle down and tackle debt, whatever. If you're in that case, I would probably budget out groceries, and then the going out to eat is the fourth category. Donation, no. No. This is all fourth category spending, which is what I mean when it's like imagine documenting all this. This would just be terrible, right? Like I wouldn't want to do it. Taco Bell, no. Steam purchases, no. Target, no. Oh, this is a gym membership. Okay, cool. So this is a recurring that I should definitely document, right? And I do. Trader Joe, no. Pizza, no. Walgreens, no. Wendy, no. Steam purchase, no. Okay, perfect. So I'm done with that. I've documented everything, and that's what you see here. Again, this is only half of the equation. There's more on the other, on a subsequent slide, but this is how I would get this all set up, right? I could find the the date of the month that all these transactions come out. I can get the amounts. I categorize the spending. Those are just fancy ways of saying the 3 categories that I have, but just however you want to categorize them, category 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, document those, right? But again, we don't categorize category 4. The notes are things that I do for myself, right? So like you'll notice RuneScape, I've paused for the time being. The AAA membership price changed, negligible, and then I'll do follow-up action items like, oh, do I want to cancel Minecraft Realms? Yes, okay, I did, whatever, right? Okay, so the next question comes, how much do I allocate in my saving category, right? Because we did mention that saving was one of the first 3 categories. Well, according to Fidelity Investments, they suggest 15% at age 25, 18% at age 30, and 23% by age 35. Again, this, as the footnote describes, assumes no retirement savings balance before starting age, right? So what you would do is you would take your annual paycheck. So let's say, your each paycheck, not your annual paycheck. So let's take a calculator, right? So let's say each of your paychecks that you take home, so like after all your taxes, everything's taken out, what money hits your account is $2,000. If you wanted to save 15%, you would multiply that by 0.15 and you would get 300. So if each paycheck, after all taxes and everything are taken out, you get $2,000 in your bank, you would save $300, right? If you need to, if you're 30 and you get the same paycheck, right? 2,000, you would multiply that by 0.3. Oh, I'm sorry, not 30%. You would multiply by 0.818. You get $360, right? And then you can do the math. For those that don't know the math, whenever you have a percentage, you move the decimal place over to the left 2 spots. So 15, you would multiply that by 0.15, 18, you would multiply that by 0.18, 23%, you would multiply that by 0.23, so on, right? So this is how much it recommends. For me personally, I've worked my way up to saving 50% of my paycheck. And this is extremely aggressive and did not happen day one. This is not something I'm recommending everybody go out and do because it is very tough to do it. I built up to it, right? I started out making very little money, and just as I got more pay increases, I just didn't increase my cost of living, right? I made a subsequent video, or I made another video on that, on how I worked my way up to saving over $40,000 a year. Go check that out. It's on my page. And then I mentioned this before, but if you live in a joint household where some of your expenses are shared, each person should do this exercise for themselves personally and then do it together. And you should create one sheet for your aggregate household, right? So that way you understand what costs are your own personal costs and what costs you share with the house. So once you've done all that, once you find out the first 3 categories of spending, you have a very, very powerful number. This number is how much it takes you to survive each month, right? If you get paid twice a month, simply divide this number by 2 and you'll get how much you need to set aside per paycheck in order to make this money available. If you take the same number that is your first 3 categories of spending and you multiply that by 6, you get a very, very good emergency fund, right? So now you take this monthly number, multiply it by 6 to get 6 months worth of expenses, and you're now set with an emergency fund. That is something that a majority of Americans, people in the world, are not able to say that they have. So get that done, you're good there. And then whatever's left after you take out your first 3 categories worth of spending from your paycheck, whatever's left's fair game. You see that I do that all the time with my Chipotle's and my Taco Bell's and my McDonald's and my Steam game purchases. I spend with reckless abandon because I know I set a very aggressive savings goal. I'm covering all of my bills. I'm covering all of the quality of life things that I need. And whatever's left in my bank account is free for me to spend. So as long as I see money in there, I'm spending it and I'm having a great life doing it. Okay. Again, I covered this. This is how I got up to 50%. But when you earn more money, try to increase the saving that you do instead of starting to spend it right away to improve your quality of life. It is much harder to downgrade the quality of life than it is to improve it. Now, whenever you get more long-term goals in the future, so let's say I want to go to X place in 8 months and I know the trip in total is going to cost me $6,000. All you would do is divide that $6,000 for the trip, divide that by 8 months, and you'll get that you have to save $750 a month to hit your goal. Now, if you get paid twice a month, you would just divide this $750 by 2 per pay, so 2 paychecks, and you would save $375 a paycheck. That number is a lot more palatable than I need to save $6,000 in 8 months. Instead, saying I just need to save $375 per paycheck is a lot more doable, right? Mentally. So again, you would just take this $375, move it to the first category's worth of spending, and you would adjust the final balance accordingly, right? So before, let's say you had $500 left over at the end of, taking out your first 3 categories. Now you would take $375 from that $500, and whatever is left now is what you have to spend. Your day-to-day spending is going to go down, but you are saving for a trip. It is purposeful. So just keep that in mind. And again, here's another tidbit for you. Don't feel like you have to have a goal, like you have to have a goal to save. It's not wrong just to save for saving's sake, right? You don't have to spend every single dime. I know I just said that I spend like I do, for my whatever's left in my account, but I'm not doing stupid things that like I don't care about, right? Like I just enjoy Chipotle. I enjoy McDonald's. Those things make me happy, so I buy them, right? But I'm not going out and spending money to go to like fancy restaurants because it just doesn't appeal to me, right? Or like I'm not paying to buy model cars because I don't like model cars, right? Like I'm not going to spend money in that category. So if after all of the spending that I do that makes me happy, I still have some money left over, then I save that. I put that in an account so that if I come across something like a nice keyboard or like a computer chair, I can buy that and I have money set aside. So the final thing I wanted to cover in this video is one pro tip that I live by that I really recommend everybody do. And it's a way to stop feeling like you're living paycheck to paycheck. And that is once you have your 1 month amount, right? Let's just say for this example, it's $3,000, right? Make it a goal to save that much money in 6 months, right? So again, if you can live off $3,000 for the first 3 categories per month, you would get paid twice a month. So you would just divide that 3,000 by 6 and then divide it by 2. And then you would get to save $250 per paycheck. If you save $250 per paycheck and do that for 6 months, once you have that saved, keep it in cash. Now, when you set aside money per paycheck, you're not paying for this month's rent, but you're paying for the following month's rent, right? And this is a great feeling. It unlocks this like, oh man, I need to pay this bill by the 15th and I don't get paid until the 16th. What am I gonna do? You don't have to worry about that anymore, right? By paying for the following month's worth of expenses, it gives you that 1 month wiggle room. And this alone just gives you a 1 month buffer outside of your actual emergency fund, which is massive. So anyways, hope you find that helpful. Again, this is a massive part of everyone's personal spending that I think you need to nail down. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave it in the comment section. I'm more than happy to help. But otherwise, hope you enjoyed the video. Take care. Have a wonderful day.